Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocketradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
Good morning to you. It is Coffee and Time here on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us Monday morning, January the 13th. I'm Joe Callahan. That's Melissa Murray. Hi, Melissa.
Good morning, everyone.
And we'll be joined by Dave Richards. He's currently been called away as he's on the phone right now. Literally called away. That's right. So thanks for joining us this morning. We hope everyone had a good weekend. Did you have a good weekend, Melissa?
I did.
All right, great. Do anything fun? No,
just normal relaxing stuff.
Okay.
It was,
it
was
cool.
Good. It was chill.
Well, I did some traveling over the weekend.
Yes, you did.
And like Dave always says, traveling is always an adventure. And I mentioned it a little earlier today. And you did some traveling relatively recently.
I did.
And maybe you can concur with this. It's been, in my estimation, just in my opinion, going through TSA over the weekend, I've noticed that the TSA agents are far friendlier than they were when they first started. Do you get that opinion? They say please. They say thank you.
Where did
this was at Green Airport?
Okay, all right.
I just find them more friendlier. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or what, but this please step this way and that kind of stuff. As opposed to when they first started, when it was get over here.
Sure. Less authoritative, but
yes.
I flew out of Boston.
All right.
So I had a different experience.
All right. I'm sure the major cities might be a little different.
Yeah, because just it's so much busier. I think that I flew in and out of Green a lot, and I think that they're always pretty friendly.
So
friendlier than the average.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after you go through the scanning thing, we stand there and you got to put your arms up.
Yep.
They said, okay, please. They said, okay, please step out. They said, okay, we see you're wearing your glucose monitor. Yes, I am. We need you, meaning me, to tap it down with your hand.
Yep.
Okay, and I do that. And then we do that. They said, okay, put your hands out. And then they swab both hands.
Yeah.
And then they took the swab, the piece of paper they used or whatever, and stuck it in a machine.
Yep. And
we stood there and we waited. And I could see it looking down to my left. And it finally went approved. They said, okay, you can go on your way.
Yep.
All right then. So,
technology
that's
is really
different.
crazy.
I guess they looked for some kind of explosive, I guess, but it went just fine.
Yep.
So initially, after you get down, you put your shoes back on, you put everything back in your pockets, you put your belt back on, and now we got to go find the gate.
You have to put your belt back on?
Well, after you take it off, yes.
This is too much information, Joe.
Well, I think everybody knows this.
Can I stop your story? I'm sure everybody will wait for the end of it.
Dave.
Yeah, so we want to get Dan Gendron on because he's a busy man.
I didn't know he was on the phone.
Well, we got a city council meeting tonight, and I said, hey, would you call in and talk about the agenda?
Yeah.
We got all kinds of fun stuff coming along. I don't know if there's any controversy going on, but let's bring Dan on. Dan Gendron, welcome to Coffee Ann.
Hello, and how is everyone doing?
Doing well.
I think we're all doing good.
Never better. Melissa Murray's here, and Joe Callahan's here, and you're here.
And you know who you are.
Well,
so
I was listening to Joe and Melissa speak about. I don't know. All I heard was that Joe was taking his belt off. I don't know what went after that. I'm just going to step aside.
I was putting it back on.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, okay.
We're loath to correct you, but it was putting it back on.
I was at the airport, Dan.
Which obviously intimates that he had to take it off in the first place, but that's where the story comes.
Well, TSA requires that.
Oh, okay. You should do TSA pre-check.
I sent Joe to St. Louis this past weekend at a conference.
I've considered doing it, Dan. And is it still $85 for TSA pre-check?
It is, but it's for 5 years.
Is it good for 5 years?
They used to give it to me for nothing.
I really should do it. And you're right, but I just haven't.
Yeah. I never did either, but I always lamented that I didn't.
Yeah. It's funny because when I went to the TSA so they could check your ID, I was called over to the TSA pre-check person. and then when he was done checking me in, he sent me back in the other direction.
Yeah, no, not
Okay.
here.
Now you go back and stand with everybody else.
Wah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dan, let's talk about the city council meeting tonight. Any controversy, like Dave's asked?
No, I don't think that there's going to be any controversy. I have been working hard to avoid the controversy, and
Good.
What I wanted to do is work with the administration and the solicitor, the law department, to make sure that when things get to the council, it's ready for prime time.
Mm-hmm.
There's one item that is regarding the zoning amendment, which may have some questions. I don't know that you would call it controversy, but I know that there are some questions that'll be asked about that. And the rest of it, I think, is going to be ready for council, the council meeting to take action on, either yes or no, but it'll be ready for action.
Dan, what about that item that you mentioned, Human Services Director consolidating with another job full-time? I thought it was a full-time job already anyhow. Can you get me up to speed on that?
Yes, so the Director of Human Services / Veterans Affairs position was always full-time. It used to be held by Linda Plays.
That's right.
Going back. When Linda left, and I guess they were unable to find people that wanted to fill the position,
right?
They hired Michael Hool, who came in and said that he was able to do it, but on a part-time basis. So they changed the position to part-time. Michael did a great job doing it in a part-time situation, but when Margot came back, there is an interest to, restore it to full-time again. And now the problem was that it was not budgeted in such a manner for full-time because when Chris did his budget, he budgeted it for part-time, and now we needed to make up the extra pay to bring Margot to $96,000. So we're using some grant money and some positions that are unfilled.
So it's really not a decision or a big change or anything. What it is that when they make the budget, there's a certain amount of boilerplate, a repetition that goes into making a budget of the size of the city of Woonsocket. I mean, you can't restart from every single line item. You'd take it 6 months just to put the budget together. So you're looking at what you had before, and what you had before was part-time, and it just kind of like got copied into this budget, and that's the way it was, huh?
Yes, and if you followed during the campaign itself, that was a big issue with John Ward, who really believed, and I agree with him, that it should have never been made anything less than full-time.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
And so John had made it clear that if he had won, he was going to look to restore it to full-time. And once Chris won the election, he did the same. And so there was. I fully agree with the full-time position that it's necessary, and it should have never gone to part-time.
Oh, cool. Well,
So
that's happening tonight.
So you're going to vote on taking money from another department to put it into that department in order to pay, right?
Correct. So we've got a portion coming from a grant that we can use for administrative costs for operation of the grant, and then an unfilled position in planning that was ARPA funds. Actually, it was an ARPA position that was not refilled. Will be taken. So it's not like we're taking money from a person. It's just an empty position.
All right.
All right. So it starts at 7 o'clock tonight. We're going to have it on the radio.
And we're still trying for TV. We don't know. It's very frustrating that this cable issue is still not resolved. The city bought the equipment that Cox told us we needed, and it's just one stumbling block. So thank goodness we have radio coverage, and it's a necessary resource, because otherwise it is available on YouTube, but not everyone has access to computers to be able to pull it up on YouTube. So you having it available makes a big difference.
Well, thank you, Dan. And thank you for your time this
thank
morning.
you.
We appreciate you coming on and talking about the agenda. Looks like it's going to be a pretty straightforward meeting tonight. Guessing maybe you're out of there before 9? Guessing?
I would hope so. I think that one other thing, if I can, just for if I have another minute,
Sure.
for a way of an explanation, you'll see there are 6 appointments, all to the redevelopment agency. The reason for that is that we've had a full slate on the redevelopment agency, but David Knabb, who is the chairman of the redevelopment agency, had brought to our attention that the positions from the day one should have been filled in a staggered manner, so that we would never have the entire board being their terms expiring. So this is an attempt now. So many of the positions are expired. We're going to approve their appointments in a staggered manner. So David Knabb will be for 5 years, and then Gene Budnick will be for 4, and down from there, so that we will not run into a situation where the entire board vacates at the same time. More like the zoning and planning board now.
That makes sense.
All right.
Well, a lot
Yeah,
of
I just wanted, when you see that many, I know people were asking me about it, so I thought you might be able to get that message across to your audience.
Yeah, very good. Well, you just did.
Very good. Thank you for
It's
pointing
amazing
that out.
how this works. All right.
It is.
Thanks so much, Dan. I'm sensitive to how much time we're taking from you, so it's not that I didn't want you around. It's that I wanted to be sure that we weren't a burden on your time.
You're never a burden, and I appreciate your understanding with my situation. So
Very good.
We will talk. Never hesitate to reach out to me.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. Have a great
Thank
day.
you,
Dan.
All
Woonsocket
righty.
City Council President Dan Jenren on our show this morning, talking about the agenda for tonight's City Council meeting. You'll hear it 7 o'clock tonight, live from Harris Hall on your favorite local radio station, WOON.
Thanks, Dave. All righty. Back to my story.
I'll put a commercial in there, too.
All right, back to me. Anyway,
Back to you.
Yes. And as usual, whenever I fly out of Green, after you come through TSA and you get yourself put back together, now you got to go find your gate. And 1 to 8 is down to the right, and 9 through 22 is down to your left, and I'm at gate 22.
Of course.
I'm always at the very end.
Me too.
Um,
That's
the
what Southwest is.
That's right.
They took the end.
Because I did fly Southwest.
It's easier to drive in.
So I get down there, we're there in plenty of time, and this is not an endorsement or saying anything bad about Southwest. I just chose Southwest, and this is just what happened. I'm sure it happened with all the airlines. We were told that that the plane was only going to be half full. First of all, thumbs up for that.
Yeah.
Excellent. So they said, please spread out. Okay. And as I'm making my way towards, because I like to go to the back of the airplane, met a flight attendant down there who was very truthful with me, and said, by the way, I was going from Providence to Washington. It's an hour flight. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Mm-hmm. No,
Yeah.
we're going to hit a little turbulence. I might be shake a little. No, it's going to be rocky the entire time because the storm was coming across the country. Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for being honest. I really appreciated that. So we're taxiing out. The flight attendants do their whole safety thing and like that, and then they tell them to sit down and getting ready for departure. And we take off, and almost immediately. We're rocking back and forth. The captain came on and said, I apologize, but it's the atmosphere, and this is just how it's going to be until we get there. And in fact, it's so turbulent. I want all flight attendants to stay in their seats.
Yeah.
For the entire flight.
Sure.
There will be no
service.
No service,
at all. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it was rocky the whole way there. So as we're coming into
Probably Bullwinkle too, but he doesn't
Yes.
get second billing.
as we're coming into Reagan National Airport, Dulles, and one of the flight attendants got on the PA and just said, "All right, we're about to land. Please, buckle up. Tray tables in the upright and locked position, and we're going to have to take your word for it. Thank you. Buckle up." And because they weren't coming around.
Right.
I've never been on a plane where this has happened, and then we landed and everything was fine. Then I had a Monday's 3-hour layover, Dave, in Washington.
During which you were listening to us all the time, I know.
When I got to I couldn't on the airplane because I'd have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So I decided not to do that. But when I landed, I could. Anyway, my 3-hour layover turned into 3 hours and 45-minute layover because I'm looking at the time we're supposed to take off and the time we're supposed to board, and here comes the time we're supposed to board, and I look out the window, there's no airplane.
Yeah.
There's nothing to board. I'm like, this means the plane has got to land. We got to disembark everybody.
Mm-hmm. Have to clean
We
up.
have to clean it. We got to refuel it. We got to add all the luggage. Oh boy! I said I'm so glad I'm not in a massive hurry to get here. So we take off from Reagan, and oh, by the way, oh yeah, I had the whole road to myself from Greene down to Washington.
Nice.
From Washington to St. Louis, there were people in my row. It was a little more crowded, and I think I scared the woman sitting next to me
Oh no! What did
when
you
we
do?
were landing in St. Louis, because I kept looking out the window, and all I could see was clouds.
Mm-hmm.
And as we're coming down, all I could see is white. It's just clouds. Okay, so I never really noticed how close we were to the ground until the wheels hit,
Mm-hmm.
and my eyes were closed, and I didn't know where the wheels were going to hit. And my arms shot out. I went, huh? And I think I scared the woman sitting next to me. But we landed in St. Louis, and everything was fine.
You scary man.
I am a scary man. So that was okay. Got to my destination, the hotel in St. Louis. Everything went fine. On the way back, my Uber driver was originally from New York, but has done work in Massachusetts, and
so he really know how to drive badly.
yes, and he
And you got you there in 5 minutes.
he worked at Gillette Stadium for a little while, so we talked about Foxborough, and he asked where I was going. I said, Logan? I said, no, luckily enough. He goes, good. He knew about Logan Airport, by the way, and St. Louis seemed just as bad, by the way. Not quite as bad as Logan, but pulling in, he even said, people, you're doing it wrong. I said, that's what happens. Between buses and Ubers and taxis who know what they're doing, and then you get people that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's like, people, you're not doing it right. So anyway, landed there, got in. The flight from St. Louis back to Washington, only 40% full. I'm like, this is great.
You lucked out.
I got another row all to myself. And I was in row 6 because, and I really got to
You
pay.
always go in the back.
I know, but this time was
Row
different.
32, I think
know,
it is.
but this time is different. I'm going to tell you why. I wanted to go into the front part. When we come back, more Coffee and coming up. Stay tuned.
What does it mean to be owned by your customers? It means we don't answer to a headquarters in New York or a board of directors in Switzerland. It means we answer to a teacher in Woonsocket, a small business owner in Greenville, a contractor in Warwick. Our customers are our owners. Our owners are our customers. Come join us. Navigate Credit Union.
Here's our tip for having more fun this winter. Ski, smile, repeat. Ski, smile, repeat. Ski, smile, repeat. Check out our 3-day Learn To packages. You always save when you buy online. Go to whatchusett.com.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
ON Radio.
All right, it is Coffee and on ON Radio. Joe Callahan here, along with Dave Richards and Melissa Murray. So this is why I took row 6 on my flight from coming back from St. Louis to Washington. And I really have to pay attention next time I book a flight. I said, by the time I landed, I was landing in Washington at 11:15. At 11:25, I was to board the next plane to go
Oh, my
home. I'm like,
gosh.
10 minutes? I got 10 minutes to find the next gate? Uh-oh. I really thought I was in serious trouble.
Yeah.
But when we landed,
I would have stressed out the whole time.
so I was like, that's why I picked row 6. I said,
Yeah.
I gotta get off the plane as soon as I can. And however, though, and I don't know if all the airlines do this, their timing is always off. We didn't land at 11:15. We landed at 11.
Right.
Good. Now,
Just in
I
case,
I
yeah.
have extra time.
Yeah.
And when I get off at exit
No,
gate.
The schedule allows for adversity. If you
Well,
don't get
yeah.
it, then you're ahead.
So we landed. I'm at gate A5. The gate I need is gate A4. Right next door.
Bingo.
And I have 20 minutes to wait. Fantastic. The good part about having the row to yourself, and I had a row to myself in row 6, is you put down the tray table in the middle seat, so you don't have to put it down in front of you. It's very, very comfy that way. So I was able to get off and use the facilities and get back in plenty of time. And so now we're getting ready to board, and I look ahead, and there are 5 wheelchair people that need to board the plane first. I'm like, wow, that's a lot. Usually it's only 1, maybe 2. This time there was 5. And Dave, I was watching this. So here comes the first person in a wheelchair, and they get out their phone, and they beep the boarding pass. And the second person comes along, and they beep the boarding pass. And the gate agent that was helping them starts pushing them in, and they left the third person there. The third person, who was an elderly person and maybe didn't understand, just started rolling onto the gateway. They never checked her in. I said, I can almost guarantee she's coming back. And she did. Oh, the gate agent was not amused.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Didn't we say, like, how do folks
Get on
planes? Well,
without the boarding pass.
Right.
Well, Southwest, she was right on the ball. Even though she was in a wheelchair, we wheeled her all the way back just to beep on the phone and
Yeah.
wheeled her back in.
Yeah.
And then she made an announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to have your boarding pass with you
It's a federal regulation.
before you go down the ramp. Not even get on the plane. Before you even go down the jetway. You got,
woman was like, okay,
need
let's
to have
go.
this out.
That's my
So
cue
anyway,
to go.
So while I was waiting, by the way, 2 gates over was, now I'm in Washington, was the flight for Southwest to go to Tampa Bay. Now the Washington Commanders were playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in football. The place was packed with Washington Commander fans that had tickets to the game. The game was played last night, and their plane was delayed. And it was mayhem over there.
Oh.
And even they had to get on the the PA and said, "We don't have any answers for you. We don't know why the plane is not here. Please stop coming up to us and bugging us. We will get you on your way as soon as possible." And they did start to load the plane. So those folks did get down there, but I thought it was funny.
Oh, were they rowdy?
We've got tickets and we want to get to the game. And Washington won, by the way.
Yep.
And when I got, and then that when I went to the back of the plane, I had the row to myself as well. So I had three out of the 4 flights. I had the row to myself. I said, this is one of the best flying experiences I think I've ever had. Although I'm not too crazy about the snacks on Southwest. 2 out of the 3, it was some kind of Maui monk, and what it is it's a small braided pretzels with a little buttering on it, with sprinkled with some onion powder and Maui fruit. I'm like, it was okay. I wouldn't pick
Sounds
it.
a little weird.
I wouldn't pick it to eat if I had to, but I'm like, well, it's all right. And on one of the other places was just the little graham crackers. Stick with the graham crackers.
Yeah.
They
yeah.
were.
Don't try to branch out into anything crazy and expect everybody to like it.
And the TSA agents in St. Louis were nice too.
Mm-hmm.
I was happy with that, and because I was wearing my shirt, my Boise State shirt, that's got the Bronco on it, and the TSA agent recognized it as being from Boise State. I said, that's shocking. People in the Midwest to the east have no idea what this logo is. He goes, oh no, one of his favorite players is on that college team. I'm like, well, that's really cool. So that was cool. So that was
You're so lucky you got all these rows to yourself. You had nice people.
I was very lucky.
Yeah,
very
I fly.
happy. Just one bumpy flight for an hour.
Yeah, that would have thrown me off.
That was I took my motion sickness medicine just to be sure.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was perfectly fine. So
yeah, I get a little weirded out on flights, and I'm better now. But on a flight like that, I would have been an absolute wreck. I would have been white knuckled the whole way.
I have I have
It's
a friend.
just like
I have a friend who's commercial. He's just recently retired, but he was 25 years commercial airline pilot, and I was pretty good on it anyway beforehand, because I just said, hey, listen, when you get in a situation like this, there's nothing you're going to be able to do. Everybody else is going nuts. You just sit back and watch the show, because it's like this. You got zero to do with surviving this thing. Nothing to do with it except for your attitude on how you take the adversity. That's all you've got, and that's all you've got to do is to, and I looked at it this way. I said, and you know, I happen to know from personal experience, the pilot doesn't want to die, so he's going to do it right.
the flight attendant
because it's like this. The pilot is the first one to go.
That's right, because the plane's never back into the mountain.
That's right.
The flight attendant did say, though, turbulence is worse in the back of the plane than in the front.
It is, yeah.
I said, I never realized that, but that makes
Good to
sense.
know.
Behind the wing, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
All right, and it's one of the other things I learned, and this is not an endorsement of this airline either, but I heard, and I don't know if Holland Cook talked about it last week at the CES in
he
Las
didn't.
Vegas. Delta Airlines has decided they're gonna offer free Wi-Fi on all their planes. I don't know if it's going to happen this year or next year.
And the responsibility will be, since they gave you Wi-Fi, now it's up to you to do something.
Well, yeah, you have to go. You still got to put it in airplane mode.
Got it? Yeah.
And you still pick up Wi-Fi, and you got to pick up their Wi-Fi,
Right.
in order to use it. But it'll be free. But I tried doing it with Southwest, and they only offered it for free for the special people,
Yeah.
business class people,
Yeah.
and like that. And I tried putting in my name and my number in my flight, my confirmation number, and they said you're not allowed to have the free. So if you want to pay for it, it was $8. Now I don't know what United is doing. I don't know what American is doing.
But it's $8 every time you get on the plane.
That's right.
That's 4
But then
times.
Each flight.
They'll probably all follow suit. But as was said at the little meeting I was at, does that mean Delta Airlines is going to raise their price of tickets? The answer is yes.
Yes, of course they will.
Of course it is.
Of course.
So it's not really free. The price of your airline ticket is now going up.
And
so.
and if there's a change in your flight or your connections or something like that, they're going to put it out on that, and it's your responsibility to know it. They absolve themselves of any responsibility of telling you what's going on.
What,
because
the
you
ticket
should
prices going
have
up?
checked in on their app.
Well, you have to. Yeah, that's what they all want you to do now.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, let's see other things. All right, away from my trip now. So we had
Please.
the woman was killed
What
here
do you-
in Woonsocket
Yeah.
Okay.
in the parking lot over where Ocean State Job Lot is and Tractor Supply and Applebee's.
We have a name. She's
mm-hmm.
from Bellingham.
She's from Bellingham. Kathleen Tascioni was struck by a motor vehicle. We do not have the name of the person that was driving the car, although they did stick around and was
Good,
helping out with
good.
police while the investigation continues. No charges have been filed as of yet, but that's a shame.
Yeah.
That
Oh, yeah.
happened to this woman from Bellingham that was hit and killed in the parking lot. So that's really too bad. The other thing that's too bad, and it always happens. We got these wildfires going on in California.
Yeah.
At last count, LAPD announced they have arrested 30 people for looting.
Right.
It's like, wow, it always happens in natural disasters, and so that's why they're calling out really the National Guard, not really to help with the fire, it's to help protect people's homes and businesses.
Yeah.
What's left of them?
Yeah.
Or what's
right.
left.
If you're nearby, you have to evacuate.
Yeah.
I know somebody who had to evacuate. My brother and his fiance and my baby niece are out there. They were checking in. We have a little family group text, constant checking in. It's a scary, scary thing.
I have a friend's son who's out there. They have not been evacuated yet, but I do know right down the road from them is the place they would evacuate to. Big stone building, I guess. But they're not in the fire area yet, but winds have picked up again to 80 miles an hour, and
Yep.
it might turn in their
And
direction.
it's expected to get worse over the next day or so.
Yeah.
It's real frightening.
All right. So that's the latest out there. Let's see. Other things going on back here. Roger Williams, Medical Center. That's what it is. And Our Lady of Fatima filed for bankruptcy.
Not good.
And then we got
Well,
the
that's
press
been
release.
rumored for some time.
Yeah.
It has been.
And now it's true. And now we got the press release. Yeah, I got it right here. From the United Nurses and Allied Professionals.
Yep.
Of almost 1,000 employees at Our Lady of Fatima, Roger Williams, and Prospect Home Health and Hospice. They're calling on the state leaders to take on all necessary actions to keep these hospitals and healthcare facilities operational since they went into bankruptcy. I don't know what the state can do.
They want a bailout, I'm sure.
They're
But
looking for money.
I'm sure.
So then
Everyone always
that-
wants
so
a
then-
bailout.
So then it comes back to you, right?
Yeah, so I'm not on finance anymore.
Okay, so it's not up to you.
It's going to be a big year on finance. I was a little, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I was a little sad to find out that I was no longer on the finance committee. I've been on it for 6 years. I was the vice chair. So I was named HHS chair. We meet at the same time. So we can't do both. So I was a little sad to learn that I was not on the finance committee, but it is going to be a not easy year for the finance committee this year. So
I don't know how they could give any money to these.
we don't have
medical,
we don't
'cause you're
have
already
it.
in the hole.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough year.
So as of right now, all those facilities are still open, right? As far as we know.
Oh, yeah.
Roger Williams and Our Lady.
Well, they
Our
are.
Lady of
And
Fatima.
Yep.
The Attorney General, you've got a massive press release from the
Yeah.
Attorney General. He sent one out last week. Yeah, everybody's talking about the bankruptcy. We're ready. We've taken the steps. And so over the weekend, now here's how you really know that the Attorney General would really like to be governor. Because, like, the press releases just keep on coming. Everything he's thinking about is getting out in a press release. And, well,
He's
that's
testing
how
the waters for sure.
That's how the game is played, isn't it, Melissa?
Yeah, that's true.
I may be making a little sport of it, but, you know, it's also nice for him to talk to us. So, but, I mean, it's not normal based on past traditions for an attorney general to be quite so verbose about all of this.
Yeah.
So there he is. So over the week, I guess it was Saturday, they kind of like pulled the plug. They got it done. They kept it on the down low. Those who were in the know kind of knew what was going on, but nothing was official until it was official. And then Nerona put out his press release from, I believe it's Saturday's action yesterday. He said, don't worry about it. We're ready for this. Everything's going to be fine, you know. And if you look at the filing, they've already told the bankruptcy court that they're selling to Centurion, which is the people we wanted to have. And like that. So all's well that ends well, maybe. I don't know. Let's stay tuned.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Coffee and Program. More coming your way. And it's time for the forecast being brought to you by unbound.org.
Gradually clearing skies today with a high near 42 degrees and a calm wind. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, overnight low of 22, winds from the west up to 7 miles per hour. Tuesday's weather, sunshine with a high of 31 and a 25-mile-an-hour west wind. Wednesday, sunshine and 30. Thursday, sunshine and 30 again. Friday, sunshine and 38 degrees. Saturday, a 60% chance of rain and snow, mostly cloudy skies, high near 46. And on Sunday, partial sunshine, high near 40.
Outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street, where it is the sun is shining, and we have 30 degrees.
At George's Breakfast and Lunch, 793 Harris Avenue in Woonsocket, otherwise known as George's Restaurant, you'll get a chance to see John cook up whatever it is you want. Just a plate of eggs and bacon, or a beautiful omelet made with all kinds of interesting and fresh and delightful things. Or at lunchtime, maybe you want a big bowl of chicken soup. Hearty, oh, you'll never have another bowl of chicken soup like you get at George's, that's for sure. Or any of the tuna melts or special sandwiches or regular meal. It's up to you at George's Breakfast and Lunch. Drop on by. Now, they're not open on Tuesdays, and you got to bring cash, but George's Breakfast and Lunch will leave a lasting impression on you all the time. George's Breakfast and Lunch is at 793 Harris Avenue, Woonsocket.
The weather report brought to you by Unbound.org. A girl in Kenya dreams of becoming a doctor, an elder in Guatemala dreams of being part of a community. Reach out and change their world, and it will change your own at Unbound.org.
Every winter, the state of Rhode Island prepares for the winter season, and we want you to be prepared as well. At the Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency, our top priority is keeping everyone safe, so we want to remind you to be prepared for the ice, cold, and snow. Keep an emergency supply kit, have a communications plan, and stay informed. Find more information at riema.ri.gov or visit us on social media. Brought to you by the Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency and the Rhode Island Broadcasters Association.
Hey, it's ON Radio's Cruisin' Bruce Palmer, and I'd love to have you join me every Saturday for the Saturday Block Party. We start at 4 o'clock when I open up the ON Music Vault for you to pick whatever you want to hear or send to somebody special. Yes, the good old radio request days are back. Join me for the Saturday Block Party, Saturdays from 4 until 7 on ON Radio and streaming online at WoonsocketRadio.com.
It is Coffee and here on ON AM and FM. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here, along with Melissa Murray and Dave Richards. And so, we had another situation, and if you like going to Providence Place Mall, okay, good for you. I do not like going to Providence Place Mall. One,
Nor
I find
do
it hard.
I, Joe.
I find it hard to get around. And anyway, but there's just
Then avoiding all the hoodlums.
I just want to avoid
a real
being
drag.
robbed.
Yeah,
and,
right.
and some people got robbed on the Sky Bridge that connects the AMP and
Yeah,
and Providence Place Mall.
Of course, word's getting around the Sky Bridge is not the
Not-
place
yeah,
to
right.
knock people off because the last time somebody tried it, they got caught. This time, they got caught.
These people got
Only
caught,
the
too.
stupid people rob you on the Sky Bridge.
But they still get away with some stuff. So yeah, okay, it's I believe it was like 11:45 p.m. 5 juveniles surround a couple of people. They steal a Gucci bag, an iPhone, and a hoodie. It's cold outside.
Okay.
And one victim suffered minor injuries. Police say they caught the suspects a short time later near Dorrance Street, which is not very far from
Not
this
at all,
place.
right.
And they were taken into custody. This is the second robbery in the Sky Bridge since December. So I just
I wouldn't
I
walk.
get nervous going
I
to
wouldn't walk
Providence
the
Place
Sky
Mall.
Bridge alone at night. But then again, it's bitterly cold, so you're thinking, I'm
Why
not
go
gonna,
outside? Yeah.
right, right.
And then waiting for the traffic and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a significant improvement. However, that's I just when I read the story, Joe, I listened to myself say this, and I said to myself, "Well, the moron stole an iPhone. You could track those suckers.
Of course.
No matter where you go, those things get tracked." If it gets turned back, suppose you pull the battery out. Great, maybe they don't track you now, but then they got you later. Seriously speaking, it's like those little buttons that you put on things.
Well,
You
dealing,
know?
but you're dealing with juveniles, Dave, who are not thinking like that.
Well,
The laws are
obviously.
thinking, if I steal the phone from you, I can either sell it or use it or whatever, and they're not thinking about it's being tracked at this current time. So
Yeah.
that's the most expensive thing you have on you. So let me have it.
Okay.
And as well as the Gucci bag. They could maybe try and sell that and get $100 or something like that. So, all right. So if you were caught up in the massive data hack, you should be getting a letter this week, since they all went out on Friday. Right? Yeah, 700,000 letters went out. Yay for the U.S. Postal Service.
Yeah.
Made a ton of money on this. Anyway, they'll be talking about how you can have free, up to 5 years, free credit monitoring in response to this massive data.
Paid for
hack.
by your favorite taxpayers.
Yep, but you gotta sign up for it by April 30th. I mean, you should sign up for it this week and
Yes,
not wait until
right,
April
right,
30th. But
right.
we'll give you a couple of months to figure it out so that you have this. So, wow,
What a
Okay.
massive mess. Just-
700,000.
Yep. Everybody who got any kind of benefit or within the past
What
5 years.
What I didn't understand about this is that as soon as they had the problem with the bridge, we're going to sue the people who made that bridge. We're going to sue the people that checked the bridge. We're going to sue the people that maintain the bridge. We're just going to sue, and get the money to get a new bridge. Nobody has uttered a word in front of me or in any press release I've seen that says, we got to call Deloitte in here to find out how this happened.
Right. Right.
And what's wrong with this
Well,
picture?
They backed off on the sue part, and they said, well, okay, let's fix it, get the bridge up and running, and then we'll go back to seeing who's at
Well,
fault.
no, that's not true, because when they were taking it apart and they got to the point where they might be destroying evidence for the lawsuit,
Yeah.
they stopped
Yeah.
for a week.
They did. Yep.
Was it a
Yeah.
week or 2 weeks that they stopped taking it apart simply because they said, well, we need this. We need to be able to show this in court. So that's what they did. Yeah, right. It was like, we're going to sue these people, to within an inch of their lives. But Deloitte is just like, well, call this place out in Ohio, and they'll give you counseling on what to do now that you're totally shafted. But don't be talking to us about it, because we're just a bunch of guys here, This is not cool. And I'm not asking for a head. I just don't see any parity here, and it raises a red flag in my view. And I get a chance to talk with the governor next, and I think I'll ask him about that. I don't know if he'll have an answer for me.
He might not.
I mean, he's only the executive, and okay, fine. I mean, he's the leader, but other people are doing the work, right?
Melissa, Dave just said, people, he's not looking for a head, but most people are. And
Well, that's true.
Many people are.
Well, I like to be different than other people,
I know.
Joe.
Many people
Is
are.
it still Peter Alviti on the chopping block?
No, I don't think Peter Alviti is. I think many people would like to see his head on the chopping block,
All
but
right.
I don't see that happening politically.
All right.
Well, that'd be like chopping your nose off to spite your face.
But we fired
You're not
somebody.
hearing it the same way? Don't say anything you shouldn't.
I'm not going
trying
to say
get you to
anything I shouldn't. I'm going to say that there should be accountability, but there's more politics at play.
Well, there's always politics at play when you get into that stuff. My
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
It's
All right.
That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Sheldon Whitehouse has come out in support of the Sunshine Protection Act. Doesn't that sound nice?
Oh,
We're going to protect the
Yeah,
sun.
right.
The Sunshine Protection Act is an effort to keep daylight savings time permanent.
I'm so with that.
You're for it? Okay.
I'm for it, personally
Okay.
for it. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So it was Sheldon and Republican Senator Rick Scott of Florida
Yep.
who reintroduced
The Sunshine
bipartisan-
State.
That's right.
What other
the
state would want to
bipartisan
protect it?
Sunshine Protection Act this week. So he just says changing the clocks twice a year is just an antiquated practice.
It is.
No word on Jack Reed about how he feels about this, since he'd probably be voting on it too. I'm sure.
Well, obviously, all of them would eventually if it took that far down the process, but they keep bringing it up and it doesn't stick to the wall
Yeah, I wonder why.
because they got more important things to worry
But
about. This is a campaign
but
issue
this would-
type of thing.
This would
Yeah.
fly through so quickly.
It should, but
Quickly, rubber stamp, bang, move on. To
This
the next
is
thing.
a feel-good issue.
I
This
know it
has
is.
nothing to do with running a country.
I know, but it's there. So let's get, instead of it coming up every year, and here it is again, kind of thing. Let's approve it and move on.
Right.
No. All right.
that's too easy.
It is too easy. All right. The governor's State of the State
At
address.
the very
is-
least,
is
they'll hold
tomorrow night.
they'll
It is
hold it
tomorrow night,
hostage
yep.
to get something that's not
Something else.
popular.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah,
So-
I mean
That
that's how
happens.
it works.
That happens.
Melissa
yeah.
knows.
Yeah.
All right. So you get to be there for tomorrow night.
Yep.
Oh, joy, road rapture. Oh, good. Good times.
Now,
Yep, starts at 7,
I have a question.
so,
I have a
yeah.
question now. State of the State address,
Mm-hmm.
and it's important, but it's mostly ceremonial.
It is.
You work on it a lot because you know that people are going to hold your feet to the fire from what you say, and it sets a tone for your relationships with other people who have to work with you.
Right.
And so, okay, fine. So that's the governor's job. So the governor's doing it probably with the help of aides and things like that. But the budget is released later on.
That's right.
Is the budget distributed to the legislature before it's officially released?
No.
Okay. So you're not going to see the budget until the end of the week.
We will not see the budget until so we'll have like a pre-budget online. Well, I'm not on finance anymore, right? So we'll kind of have like a preview with the Department of Administration, and then the
The
budget.
story I had is that State of the State on Tuesday, later in the week, the budget. They didn't specify a particular
yeah,
day,
that's
but they
real
said
early.
later in the week,
That's
the
real
budget.
early, but yeah.
Hey, listen, if the budget is that fouled up, if we're that much behind the 8 ball, how accurate does it have to be? It's just
not
going to
gonna
get
be.
trashed.
It's not going to be a complicated budget with a lot of new
No.
with a lot of new initiatives.
No.
So
It's just going to be,
yeah,
let's
but
see if we can get this passed.
So the State of the State is largely ceremonial, and it's a chance for the governor to say, we have this problem, and I'm going to address it by doing this in my budget, and I put this in my budget, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then, but we don't actually get to see the budget, tomorrow night. We just get to hear about it, and then,
Right.
and then
You'll see it later. Okay.
all the work begins.
That's
very soon.
And that's also because the budget is still subject to last-minute tweaking.
Right.
And after he gives the State of the State, he finds out which way the wind's blowing based on the conversations and the alarm expressed by various groups. And then he will revisit the budget and do a tweak, perhaps, to address the alarm of
Right.
various groups.
Yeah, and there can be budget amendment, added articles. We
Well,
had
yeah,
we
afterwards,
had
but
sure. We had them all the way up until at least May. Maybe the last one came out in June last year.
I know, but the original budget sets the tone because after that you're buying favors and giving favors and stuff like that.
It is the administration's
changes.
priorities, of course, all subject to change.
Yeah, so trial balloon. Trial balloon. We're not going to show you the budget right now because I want to see how much you bellyache about what I say.
Yeah.
And then based on who's doing the belly aching and just how loud they're belly aching, I might tweak it up a little bit before I let you see it.
Right.
But they know what the budget is already.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, break time once again here in the Coffee and
It's
Program.
got 4 letters on it.
More.
DOOM.
More coming up. Stay tuned.
What does it mean that our customers are our owners? It means that we don't have shareholders like a bank. We have owners like you. And though we don't have traditional shareholders, we do share. We share values, expectations, and yes, profits in the form of better rates, lower fees, and dividends. Our customers are our owners. Our owners are our customers. Come join us. Navigate Credit Union.
Join the St. Anne's Cultural Center for its annual winter fundraiser at Cello's in Woonsocket on Sunday, January 19th from 11:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. Cello's will donate up to 20% of your check to the center. Everyone who participates will be entered into a free drawing for gift cards to Cello's and more. A certificate is needed and can be obtained at Belo's Flowers, Creative Impressions, The Honey Shop, Little General on Cumberland Street, Missy's Family Restaurant, Pine Swamp Place, Timeless Antiques, Vos True Value Hardware, or online at the St. Anne Arts and Cultural Center website.
Coffee and on ON. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here with Melissa Murray and Dave Richards. Dave had the story this morning about the Massachusetts Department of Transportation warning about a scam. Cell phones statewide received a text message. Say we owed $6.99 for an unpaid Easy Pass bill. I got this message.
So did I.
Really?
Yep.
Do you have a Mass extension on your phone? No, you don't.
Nope.
I wonder why you got it then.
I don't know. But
Did you get it, Dave? This text message?
When I get stuff, I don't read it. I just destroy it.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think I did.
Well, I read this one. Yeah, it said you owed $6.99 for Easy Pass. I said, that's amazing. I don't have an Easy Pass. I don't know how I could owe any money.
I never got spam texts until I got the iPhone.
So
I got a lot of spam texts, yeah. I replied scam, and then I deleted and blocked.
All right. And I just deleted it.
Because it's important to me that they know
I
know that it's a scam, even though it's not. It's a bot. It's not a person, right? So
I push delete and report as junk.
yeah.
And so Mass DOT would like to remind people that they do not send out messages via text looking for money. It's just scammers looking to get personal information.
Yeah.
If they send it out to 10,000 people and they
they get 1,000 back.
They get 40 back.
Look how much money we just made.
That's 40 times $7,
$7.
and considering what they put into it,
We just made $2,800.
right?
Well, I'm guessing if you go through all of that and put your personal information in, they're probably going to charge you more than the $6.99.
Maybe.
You know, like I mean, they wouldn't do it if it didn't work. Sometimes.
That would be dishonest.
Yeah.
Well, I would have to say that the governor of New Hampshire will not be coming to the governor of Massachusetts' home anytime soon, because the governor of New Hampshire, Kelly Ayotte, in her inaugural address, said Massachusetts has out-of-control spending, tax increases, and the illegal immigrant crisis have families and businesses fleeing the state of Massachusetts and running up to New Hampshire, I guess. During her campaign, Ayotte vowed to protect New Hampshire from becoming Massachusetts. So,
Little friendly note.
Take her off the Christmas card list.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Well, but that's the way people are thinking in New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
You know that the Massachusetts. Well, I'll back up just a little bit to make it amusing, perhaps. Rhode Islanders will oftentimes reference what Massachusetts is doing as justification for what they like to do.
Yeah.
Most of the people who are doing that are people who are into social change. And so Massachusetts, on the other hand, if you live there, you know that your government is trying their best to destroy themselves like California is doing, because California has run amok. You probably saw the story. I'm not saying anything that you don't know, but for those listeners that might not have gotten it, how bad is California? And I'm saying this because I'm looking at from the outside as an observer, and a dad whose daughter lived there for almost a year, and she says, "Dad, you won't believe this stuff. You just won't believe this stuff." And so here's the news story that I got on Friday, late Friday or early Saturday. Firefighters from Oregon get together, get on their trucks, and say, "We're going to L.A. to help with the fires." They call L.A., they say, "We're coming down to help with the fires." Great, thanks. All Godspeed. They get to the border of California, and California DOT won't let them take their Oregon trucks into California because they don't have a sticker for emissions.
Wow.
How can that be?
Well, because we don't need one in Oregon.
Right.
And we're coming
It's
to
a big
help.
diesel truck.
Yeah.
And we're coming down to help you put out the fire. Oh, but the rules are you can't come in here unless you got the California emission sticker, so you stay out.
So they turned them around and sent them back?
Well, they fought for a little bit, and
Well,
then I
sure.
understand they went back.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, because, the truck stayed there and tried to reason with them and called their higher-ups and tried to
Talk to their
reason with them.
higher-ups, yeah.
And they say, well, call Los Angeles and have them reason with them. And so there was a little dance going on there over the weekend, but my understanding is that they did not prevail. They just said, to heck with this. We're not helping
Fine.
anybody.
Yeah. We'll go
Goodbye.
back. Yeah. All right.
We're going back home.
DOT.
Taking my ball and going home.
But
Taking my fire truck and going home, really.
You can blame DOT all you want, and to a certain amount, you can say to yourself, well, yes, DOT is the one that was blindly following laws that clearly were made for non-emergency
That's
situations,
right.
and
That's
this
right.
is an emergency situation. You could say that, but you gotta place the blame clearly on Sacramento, the state capital, where the legislative critters get together and say, "I'm going to get more votes if I back this idiot idea." And so they do it, and they get their votes, and everybody's happy until this
there's an
happens.
emergency. Yeah.
And now there's egg on their face in Sacramento.
But also, like, if you have to take the current events into account, right?
yeah.
Like, if
I
it
know-
were me,
I know they're in Northern California and they're not on fire, but your southern state's on fire.
sure.
This is why
sure.
we hire police officers who are human beings so they can exercise judgment.
Yeah, right.
Situational judgment is key in our democratic
Absolutely.
republic.
Absolutely.
And so situational judgment was lacking at the border of Oregon and California this past weekend.
Alrighty.
I wonder if Northern California had been on fire, if they would have
It'd been
made the
different.
exception, right?
Quite
yeah.
possibly.
You wonder.
Yeah.
Quite possibly.
You wonder.
Yeah. All right. We haven't gotten to it yet, but I might as well right now. The Patriots hired a new coach.
I thought that'd be the first thing out of your mouth
I know,
today.
me too. Me too. I even knew about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've heard of this guy.
Well, he played for them.
I
He
heard.
won
I
Super
hadn't heard
Bowls
of
with
Mayo
them.
before they made him head coach because I wasn't watching that closely. But this guy Vrabel, I heard of him before. He's kind of got a personality, doesn't he?
Oh, sure.
This is how I heard about him, even though he wasn't working for us.
No, I'm thinking Melissa might be thinking, why would they hire an ex-player of the Patriots just like they hired Gerard Mayo? He was an ex-player. That didn't work out. Why would they
I
do the
didn't know
same
Mayo
thing?
was an ex-player.
Mayo was an ex-player.
Okay.
But
Well,
Vrabel has been a head coach.
That's it.
Yeah. So I'll be
got the
honest with you,
5
Joe.
years as a head coach.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Oh, he does. Okay.
The
Yes.
Patriots couldn't afford the first year learning experience. How to be a head coach. The learning curve was too much for them, so they got somebody who doesn't have the learning
Yeah.
curve.
Sure. I'll be honest with you, Joe. Though
Yeah.
so thinking that you would bring this up first thing this morning,
learned how to spell his name?
My partner, who is a regular listener, said, "You know what you should say to Joe?
What?
Oh, hey, I heard that the Patriots hired Vrabel," and he's like, he's not going to believe it because you don't know
I'll be
anything about
shocked.
sports. So like he prepped me, and then you never said anything about it. So I was like, oh,
Surprise, surprise.
surprise, surprise. But no, I actually know nothing.
All right. In Massachusetts,
But he didn't have a bad record.
no, he did okay.
He had bad owners.
Yeah. He did
But
go.
now he might have good owners.
He went to the AFC Championship game in 2019, of which they lost with Tennessee. So
Sure.
and we'll see how things go. So, all right. And Michael Proctor, he's the Massachusetts state police detective. He's going to learn his fate this
Yep.
week. He's
Yep.
he's with the Karen Reed trial that sent
Yep.
out the really nasty text.
Yeah.
He probably will be terminated for his actions, but we'll find out this week when that happens.
Yep.
Over the weekend,
If he doesn't, there's going to be
Yeah.
an uproar.
over
Yeah.
the weekend or last week, Melissa, you're too young to remember this, but Dave's going to remember it. Anita Bryant passed away.
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
She passed away in December. It took a while for the family to come out and say it.
Yeah.
Big, very big in the anti-gay rights movement.
Yep.
Huge.
Yep.
Huge. She actually said in a 1978 interview that homosexuality should return to being a felony offense. Like,
That's
wow.
nuts.
I don't know if she ever calmed down from that point of view later in life. And that was big. And Dave's got to remember this. I don't know if Melissa, remember her getting the pie in the face?
Oh yeah.
That made national news. She was at some kind of anti-gay rally, and someone who was against her threw a pie in her face. Just your basic cream pie. I mean, it
Right.
wasn't.
Yeah.
There weren't
great.
any rocks in it or anything.
No,
like
Right.
no,
No.
no, no.
Okay.
but got her right in the face.
And,
Well-
and the discussion at the time was that was a classic social protest.
Yeah.
Nobody got hurt,
Nope.
but somebody expressed themselves and somebody received a message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but, what are you going to do? And that's the way she felt. And if it had been a guy that was saying those things, and many guys did, but it was a guy saying those things and not Anita Bryant, who was a singer, I mean, it destroyed her career. It totally destroyed her singing
Well,
career.
she had stopped singing by then, hadn't she? And she wasn't.
She's
It was earlier.
but
she
sold more records before the Beatles and the
Before.
British Invasion.
Well, right, yeah.
So she was struggling like most everybody who wasn't a Beatle or British Invasion was.
But I thought it wrecked her career. Not her career, but she was very big in selling Florida oranges. She was a spokesperson for them.
Right.
Come drink Florida orange juice, and they said, "We
Yeah.
we got to
can't-
cut
yeah,
ties with
yeah.
you."
That's right. Because she was taking the the spokesperson work because her records weren't selling the way they were, and then she lost that because of her political stand. And well, for you kiddies who weren't around in the '60s, I remember that it was very important in many parts of this country to take a side on social injustice. Mm-hmm. It was a trend, and people were making names for themselves in declaring their positions on matters of public concern. The problem with Anita Bryant was that she declared her stand on something that really
Moral.
wasn't a social concern at the time,
Yeah.
because the Vietnam War and civil rights was paramount in people's minds. And while today you might say that LGBTQ plus is a civil rights issue, back then they weren't
wasn't.
thinking it was a civil rights issue. Back then it was actually more religious issue than it was a social issue, but it was a social issue, and it was not its turn up to bat in the spotlight. So when she was so vocal about it, many people I heard say, why doesn't she talk about the war?
Yeah. Well, she didn't have a stance on that, I guess.
Right.
Well,
right.
the thing is that she, because of her conservative leanings, would have taken a neutralizing step against Jane Fonda, who was a liberal. So you would have had a conservative and a liberal duking it out on that, neutralizing each other, and both of them were popular entertainers, female. And so there could have been a neutralizing effect there, and they were wondering, why doesn't she just go after the war? We can get to this stuff later. And
All right.
what can I say?
One more thing before we get a run. I don't know if you remember back during the World Series, when a game played at Yankee Stadium, where the two men reached over the wall to try to interfere with Mookie Betts trying to catch the ball. Well, they were immediately thrown out of that game and then banned from Game 5. Well, they've received a letter from Major League Baseball, and they are not allowed to go into any ballpark or team office or be subject to arrest.
Oh,
forever.
well.
You are done going to Major League Baseball games.
Yep.
And just think about this, by the way.
You're all done.
If they had said, I got caught up in the heat of the moment, I wasn't thinking, so sorry, they had still gotten tossed out of that game, but this would not have happened.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
right.
they went the other way because ESPN went up to go talk to them, and they said, "Oh yeah, we've joked about doing this for years.
Oh.
You're out.
Right,
we don't,
right,
we don't,
right,
we-
right.
yes,
Right.
We don't need you at all."
So, in a quick rebuttal, the 60 fire engines from Dallas, Oregon, were allowed into California. There's pictures of.
Oh, there were?
They were, and
That wasn't on the wire.
Yeah, so there's pictures of
60
them.
trucks, wow.
Yep, together having a press conference around Los Angeles.
Oh, good. Well,
all
I'm glad
together.
Oh,
yeah.
so they finally did make it. Well, I'm glad I was
Smarter heads
wrong.
prevail.
Yep.
I'm glad I was wrong.
Yep.
I know they were negotiating it. That's when I got the story.
All right.
Yes.
But it didn't look good.
Well, they made it, so that's good.
Hearing
All right.
nothing more, I figured
Oregon
they got
fire
turned
engines
back.
allowed to fight wildfires in California. It was 60 of them from Dallas, Oregon.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, that'll do it for the show for today. Thank you very much for listening in. Melissa Murray, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me. Have a great week, everyone.
Dave, thanks for being here as well.
It's a delight.
Yep. My
Thanks
name-
to Dan Gendron for being with us earlier. We'll hear him and his compadres on the radio tonight.
at 7.
Yes.
This is Joe Callahan, and leading into the Woonsocket City Council meeting, Tiki Bar at 6. You're on ON Radio. Stay tuned for Leslie
And
Page.
Leslie's in the house.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news.
U.S. Senator from Rhode Island, Sheldon